It's a rainy, foggy morning. Still at the house. Tires were flat. Good thing I checked. Cart's been sitting in the truck for so long. It's one problem with these low-profile tires is they don't hold air. Load in was the highest stress point in the day. Downtown San Antonio hotel. We're working in a suite, but on a higher level. I got into the loading dock. Unfortunately, a truck was pulling away right as I arrived, so before checking in with the client, I got all the carts downloaded. We met up with the crew. We got everything pushed to the freight elevator, and then I went into the security office to check in. Then the client surfaced and insisted we push everything through the front lobby of the hotel, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work. I got this huge carts. So then we get the hotel manager involved, and the hotel manager agrees with me. Oh yeah, no, that stuff needs to go through the loading dock. So cost us a little bit of time, but we had time in the schedule to deal with that. It's usually, like I've said before, circus loading in. So we had, I think we had 9 people in this hotel suite. There's the production company, the ad agency or marketing agency, end client folks, and then also I sent a Zoom feed off to another group of people that were watching. And it was just single person on camera at a time, all teleprompted. And we ran a boom only on this, as I recall. Single camera, teleprompter. And then I used my 2 apertures to bring up the level on the background. One was bouncing, skipping off the ceiling. And the other, I think, was direct, as like a special on the wall. And then the little newer panels to light up our talent. That project wrapped late in the evening. I think it was about 10 or 10:30 p.m. And then I had a day off, fortunately, to prep for the next shoot, which is a 3 camera. Also a rolling cart load in, this time downtown Austin, also in an alley with a loading dock. And this particular loading dock, I got to go up 2 steps, concrete steps. So used my ramp to download from the truck, and then the ramp to ramp up the 2 steps. So 2 FX9s and my Amira acting as the 3rd camera, the 2-shot lock off. This is 2 people in chairs having a discussion, a host and a guest, lav mic'd, close-ups, over the shoulder, clean, and yeah, Amira on 2. It's ISO record and then a quad split zoom feed. So I got all the cameras teched out, basically stripped the VCT shoulder pad off one of my cameras for a previous shoot with my smaller teleprompter, and the lens height's too high with the little prompter with the shoulder pad on there. So I like to get, even though I had 2 ops on this upcoming shoot, I wanted to spend the time to get all the cameras teched, proper color profiles loaded, resolution, frame rate, color space, and then ABC labeled, cards 1 in each camera and formatted with labels affixed to the side doors. And I've shot this project a number of times for this client. It's a reoccurring show, so I know I can get through the whole day on 1 card per camera, and this is shooting baked in color in the long GOP for the Sony cams, and the Amira I ran in ProRes. I can't remember if I ran it in LT or 422. Van's parked in my driveway. It's a steep hill. We live on a hill, and even street parking is another incline. So there's no good position where I can park my van that's level for loading and unloading. Makes it really difficult with things with wheels. Cart actually got away from me here, and so I put a sandbag back there to stop it. I gotta get in the habit of remembering to land the bag back there before pushing the cart up and in. And once again, I'm thinking about putting some E-track in on the right-hand side of the van so I can use the wider straps and clip them in anywhere on the track for different configurations. So here's a look at our setup on site. I've covered this location in the past. Basically just 2 Geminis with snap bags and grids, 1 for each subject. They're same side as camera. Now I'd love to have these armed out or rigged on the ceiling so they're favoring the proper side key versus wrong side key, but that would require a bigger grip truck package and bigger crew. Here's the Amira as the 2-shot with an on-camera mic for reference. This is A-cam. Production sound mixers feeding A-cam. We also double system recorded, but basically we're sending the final mix to camera, and that's what they'll use and edit. And then camera C, which is the other close-up, has got an on-camera mic for reference. And then there's Gino and Josh, cam op and sound, sitting in so you can see our 3 angles. And this is, like I've said, fitting an ongoing look for this particular client. They've shot a bunch of these before I got involved at the Austin location. I believe they also shoot them in other cities. And they were telling me, actually, the first time they shot this show in Austin, they flew the crew in from Los Angeles. So glad they found me, and I'm getting the work now as a local. Here's the audio mix position. We also had an on-site producer that ended up not making it to set because they had another shoot going on across town at the same time for the same client. So we ended up sending a Zoom feed to the editor in Chicago, and he kept an eye on things as we ran. There's one of my favorite sound people in the business, Gino. Gino and I go back, I think, about 15 years. Gino used to live in Seal Beach, California, when I was based in Laguna Niguel. So we're both in Orange County, worked on a whole bunch of productions together back there. And we both moved to Texas. I think we're a month or two apart on our relocates. Thing with Gino is he's always working. He has a couple of television shows that he works on that are travel and long commitments. So I lucked out on this particular project. He just flew back in from working in Los Angeles, and I got him for 2 consecutive days on 2 different projects. Here's a look from A camera. I monitored A camera, and I had a 21-inch Flanders with a quad split next to me so I could keep an eye on all 3 angles. And then I also had my MacBook feeding over, actually it was Teams, not Zoom, just to make sure that connection remained stable. And then I also wore a set of iPhone earbuds, and on my iPhone I joined the Teams call just to verify we're getting clean audio and decent picture, because I'm always seem to have problems with Teams. Worked out reasonably well, except I was only getting the left channel out of the camera in Teams. I'm not sure if Teams is stripping channel 2, which was our guest lav mic, or if some assignment routing setting on my quad split box changed, which is a Blackmagic box, or if it's my new AJA UTAP webcam box. This was the 2nd or 3rd project I've used it on, but the first time on Teams. So next shoot, slightly different configuration. Pulled the card out, and we were shooting only 2 FX9s, so removed the mirror from the truck. And this next shoot was also a cart-based production. I could not shoot BTS on it because it's a secure location. But we did 2 camera interviews. We were outside all day, and we worked off the truck. And as it played out, I would have been better off to be in my default configuration without carts, because it was a nuisance reaching in and pulling pelicans off the lower shelf of the mag liner. So that shoot wrapped out, and then now I'm reconfiguring for the next project, which is down in the Rio Grande Valley. Just a couple days down there, and I'm staying in a hotel, but on the last day after wrap, I'm going to drive home because I have a 9 a.m. training appointment that I didn't want to reschedule. So I decided I'm going to put the bed in, and depending on when we wrap, I'll just drive until I get tired, sleep, and pick up the balance first thing in the morning. So after shooting multiple projects with the bunk removed and the magliner cart assembled on board, I think I prefer the bunk configuration, and I'm going to go back to just offloading the tool chest through the side door with the ramp, and then I'll stick to rock and roller carts and hand loading and offloading, stacking cases at the tailgate, because as it has played out the last couple of years since I relocated to Texas, most of the projects I'm doing, I can pull the van close to location, and or we're just working off the truck versus being on the 15th floor of a high-rise in a city. So with that said, I think I'm going to purchase a twin-size mattress. This is a queen-size platform. Right now I'm using the mattress that's for our guest bedroom on days when I need a bunk in my van. And with a twin in there, I can use the rear half of that platform to stack and stage additional gear. It's a nice spot for building cameras out in the field that's like chest height. But with all of that said, now I'm back to thinking about raising the vertical height of the bed, maybe 12 inches, 10 or 12 inches. That would do a couple of things for me, allow me to stack things higher down below, and then I would also have room to have fully assembled C-stands in the rear left. Right now I have to pull the heads and arms off because of that plywood partition I installed, and also there's just not enough vertical clearance between the wooden stand rack that I built and the framing for the bunk. I need to add a couple of inches of vertical. So 2 years of driving around with this paneling in the ceiling, a bunch of the self-tapping screws have backed out and fallen off, and I just didn't finish this project. I bought a bunch of LED circular recessed lights to put in these panels. I've got all the components to do it except the hole saw. Keep forgetting to order its metric size. But once I get the lighting in, I am going to line these panels with the 4-way stretch headliner. And then I'm thinking about doing carpet for this midpoint partition. And I'm going to build a nicer audio rack. I built this thing before a shoot out of scrap lumber I had in the garage. So you can see here, the reason I put that partition where it's at, it's actually a structural framing location in the van. So I had good solid material to bolt into. And then it gives me room for the porta potty, my refrigerator and camping stove, and the audio kit accessible via the side door. Continuing with the slow improvements, I want to carpet line the partition that divides the cab from the cargo area. When I bought this van, it had the factory partition installed, which had a headliner and insulation. And at highway speed, the cab was nice and quiet, kind of like a normal SUV or car. And when I switched to this metal weather guard partition with the door, it doesn't have any insulation, and it's super noisy in the cab now. For long drives on the highway, I wear my noise-canceling headphones just to get a little bit of a break, but I know putting some carpet in there will quiet it down. Here's a view on the side door with the McAllen cart loaded. You can see how the cart occupies the spot where I normally keep my audio kit, and it would also prevent me from having my little travel porta potty on the center line. But there is still room for the refrigerator in the pocket between my countertop and stand rack. The other suggestion Ryan gave me is to put a single bunk in that's fore and aft on the driver's side of the truck. That would extend into the countertop to about the midpoint on that first water jug you see at the bottom, the aftmost facing water jug. So I'd lose about half my counter space if I put a bunk in. Single berth fore aft. Now I could put that on a hinge so it swivels up to the side panel when it's not in use. Travel day, 4-hour drive down to McAllen, Texas, the Rio Grande Valley. Spent a lot of time down here this year. And this is scheduled at the moment to be, tomorrow will be my final production day of the year. Next week I was scheduled on hold to work in South Florida, and I volunteered to drive. I was looking forward to doing a road trip. It's kind of itching to do some drive time, as it's been a couple of months. Most of this year ended up being airline, but that job downsized. They don't need me. So instead, looks like tomorrow is my last gig, and we're going to start the morning off with 2 interviews, single-person interviews, and I'm going to play audio tech for that, but I'm also lighting it with my light gear off my van. And then the afternoon component of tomorrow is 2-camera documentary B-roll style. So I'm going to op a camera in the afternoon. Teched out what I could on the mixer. Got most of the prep set up on the mixer. We've got a single Electrosonics lav mic, channel 1. I'll run the boom on channel 2. So I've armed channel 1, channel 2, panned right for channel 2, pan left for channel 1, so that the mix out over the snake will feed a camera left and right. ISO, single person interview with a boom and a lav. I'll tune this tomorrow on location, frequency tune. I set the time code to time of day, frame rate's 2398. I gave it a project name. I formatted both cards, the SD and the USB card. And I successfully test jammed the slate. The slate is also set to position 4, which is 20 focus, 2398. It's 2034 in the evening. I will rejam this again tomorrow. I'm going to take the batteries out for the night. So it's a good dry run. Everything's good. Booms in the truck, as well as the stand. So yeah, I'll address that in the morning. I'm feeling pretty good. Now I got to decide. Brought my laptop in. Do I edit one of my videos tonight, which is going to get my brain racing again, and then I'll have trouble falling asleep? I'm going to have to get up at 5:15 so 06:30. Starting off with an interview. Residential location. Nice quiet neighborhood. Producer and director inside, scoping things out. I managed to score a space right in front of the house. So just waiting on first position. 1 year mark with my professional audio kit, and I've worked out all the issues I was experiencing with the Lectrosonics wireless package. My crowded spectrum, hits, pops, RF interference seem to have been solved by running rechargeable lithium batteries, because they're constant voltage until they cut out, where the disposable lithiums taper off, and as the voltage drops, I guess the SMWB's wideband is just more susceptible to interference. So I solved that, and now I only run the transmitters on high power all the time. I was ratcheting down to low power if it sounded clean, but I think that was contributing to my issues. So 2 interviews in the house, boom and a lav. We had a single person and then a 2-person, and for the 2-person I just kept the lav on one and the boom for the other person. Afternoon was B-roll with these A7s. We had a mix of G-Master zooms and primes and Sigma Art primes and zooms. So I got to compare AF on the 2, and we'll talk more about that in depth in an upcoming video. Well, that's a wrap in McAllen, Texas. 06:30 to 17:30. So our OT. I don't know if I'm going to bill for the OT though. We spent, I would say, 75% of our day standing around waiting for things to happen that were beyond our control. So it was a chill day. Good people. I burned through 4 bricks, 2 LED lights, and 2 on the audio mixer. And then I went through 2 AA lithium rechargeables on the Electro SMWB, single SMWB all day. We had a 2 sit-down interviews this morning, which I ran wirelessly to the mixer. Well, I played audio tech, and then we went into B-roll for the majority of the three quarters of the day. And I just had the SMWB in record mode on the pack, and we just sprayed B-roll. Apologies to the editor that's got to sift through all that and sync it to a bunch of rolling cuts on camera. But anyway, producer seemed okay with it. Producer and the A shooter. So I was working for a production company that came in from St. Louis. And good people, good images. We had 3 A7s actually that they brought in, and I operated one of them. And one was dedicated on a gimbal, and the other 2 were sticks or handheld. So I could have stayed another night in the hotel tonight down here, but I opted instead I'm going to go work out at the gym, take a shower, and see, it's 5:30, 6:30, probably be 7. And I want to get dinner, call it 8. I got a 4-hour drive back to my house, so I'm not going to do that. So I think I'll drive until I get tired, 1 or 2 hours. And I'm going to spend the night in the van, which gets me closer to home, because I have a 9 a.m. appointment tomorrow that I don't want to cancel. All right, awesome dinner. 1943. Workout, shower, dinner after an 11-hour day on the road. This is my new routine. I'm going to try to do this every time I work on the road now. I got my black card for Planet Fitness. I can use any of them in the country.